Take a deep breath. Let it out. Relax your shoulder. The sound you can get from the neck adjustment.
Yes.
I did, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I slept good for like a week.
All right, welcome everybody. We are on today's episode of It's Always Now, and we are blessed again to have Dr. Alan Schiffman here today.
Hi, nice to see you this morning. Good morning.
And I'm a little more prepared today. I got some questions for you. So I wanna start off hot, and this is a question actually you gave me. Is on the first episode you talked about your pilgrimage to India. You know, define a pilgrimage.
Okay, the pilgrimage to India was not a vacation. It was a transforming experience, a transformational experience. The understanding of yoga, life, the art of living, all these things came to play in this particular pilgrimage. We traveled on buses for 17, 20 hours in 95-degree heat with no air conditioning. We completely changed our diets to complete vegetarian. We had no conveniences, no comforts, no TVs, no use of phones, nothing. And just that alone, by taking away the comforts and conveniences of people that use these things in everyday life with incredible attachment to these things, created a lot of unhealthy, symptomatic type of illnesses during the trip for a lot of people. There were 57 travelers from all over the world that got together to follow this great yogic master and go to the furthest northern part of India, to the furthest southern part of India. And it was just incredible. It was the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my whole life. That alone changed my life just within a couple of weeks.
Now again, what is a
pilgrimage itself is about the experience.
It's a more of a spiritual journey, correct?
Life is a spiritual journey.
True.
But this is the thing.
A vague definition of just what a pilgrimage is.
Right. So the pilgrimage, again, that was part of the processing of the pilgrimage, to go without the comfort and conveniences, okay? And to experience holy sites, temples, where they had priests and Indian saints, people that have studied and practiced yoga for decades, real yogis.
I love that.
So,
term,
for me to speak to the understanding of yoga, we have to understand, what yoga is and what makes a yogi during that particular time that he's practicing yoga, It's about understanding how to keep your peace in the midst of intensest activity, to be in the world but not of the world, to be able to take a step back and have complete perspective and perception on every part of your life and everything in your environment around, and your relationships to your environment and your fellow people that you share this planet with. It's understanding nature. So it's the understanding more about what we are actually here on this planet for. What is our existence about? Why are we here? Is it a school to be educated, to have lessons? Or is it the time on Earth just a time to gather and accumulate toys, and at the end of your life, then you're just buried somewhere? Is that what you think,
No, I think that's a little grim. I don't think it's just lights out type situation.
Okay.
I feel
some people feel that way, though, right? Because some people are what they call agnostics and atheists, that they have no belief in anything greater than themselves.
See, my perspective on agnostic's a little bit different, because I used to think I was an atheist as a young kid because I didn't really believe in much. And then as I got older, I kind of defined myself as an agnostic, and that's just more from what I've taken in. You know, I got the cliff notes. I've never really dove into it. Of what my perception of agnostic is, just kind of like, yeah, I'm not too sure. You know what I'm saying? I believe there is something. I just don't know what to believe in.
So
And that's
so that's a lot. You share that belief with a lot of part of the population, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people feel that way because they don't know. They're searching, right? Everyone is searching. So basically, you're with a bunch of people who are searching for a truth, you know, something that they can, you know, relate to
and
bring
undeniably believe in. You know, there's a lot of my problem with like current religion systems is they pitch stories that are unbelievable, or at least hard to fathom. And
Right.
so it's
Right.
just
Well, because they're hard to fathom because it's not your experience, it's theirs, or you know, or they're talking about someone else's or what they believe. Okay, so you know, I mean, a series of beliefs is not necessarily a concrete understanding of truth. You know, it's again, that's the definition of what belief would be. You know,
I mean, look at
it's
cults.
something that you feel. Okay, that okay, you know, this sounds good. I believe in God, but I don't really understand God. Is God real? I don't see him. Okay. You know, why does bad things happen on this planet? Okay. Is God responsible? Or
I think
how
I've
could there
learned
be
why
a
bad
God?
things happen.
What's that?
I think I've learned why bad things happen. It's because if it was all joy, you would have no perception on what joy was. You need the yin to the yang in order to
That's good. That's
feel.
good. Yep.
I believe if I have a lot of great things that happen to me in life. I've had an equal amount of bad things happen. To me.
Right. Right.
Every inch of great I've ever accomplished, I've had that dash of terrible.
Right. So you understand the dichotomy of living up and down, in and out, black and white. Okay, you can't have love without, you know, a glimmer of understanding of what hate is, in a sense, right?
I think it's
there's
vice versa. I think you can't have hate without loving it.
It's the same thing. They
Yeah.
both back and forth.
Yeah.
There's two sides of a coin, okay?
Yeah.
But not to get too much out of on a tangent, okay, I want to keep focused
Yeah, my
on
apologies.
what the pilgrimage is
Yeah.
about, right? That was the original question.
Yes, 100%.
So the pilgrimage, again, is the understanding of how we actually fit in this universe. And what the universe is.
And that's
okay?
something you can discover on a pilgrimage?
Well,
Or at least attempt to discover?
you know, you can get a flavor, a taste, and have your own experiences that are incredibly amazing. I was with so many incredible people that had incredible experiences, and everyone was different.
Now, can a
Okay.
pilgrimage have any destination,
So-
theoretically?
So, you know, life doesn't really have a destination, you see? You know? So it's not about the destination, it's about the experience. Okay? And understanding the experience more, okay, enlightens you, okay? There's that word, enlighten, see? You know? You become more lightened up during this pilgrimage, right?
Okay.
And you have so much more appreciation for so many things that are in your life. And the respect for other life, okay? Whether it be a plant, an insect, an animal, a fellow human being, your environment, you know, you're so thankful because it is a humbling experience, okay? A humbling experience, you know, to be humble, you know? See, yoga is about conquering the 6 enemies of man. What are the 6 enemies of man?
I'll mess them up, but I know it's like
Okay.
lust, greed.
It's a lot of attachments to that. So you have greed, you have arrogance, you have selfishness, you have ego, you have jealousy, okay? And you have anger, okay? So, you know, all these things, okay, they kind of interchange a little bit and they interlock, you know?
It's funny. I've heard a different list, like the greed, gluttony.
Well, greed is a cousin of anger, okay? You know? Greed is a cousin of anger. Absolutely, you know? It's a lustful feeling. You know, anger is actually a habit. Okay? People have a habit of being angry, of reacting a certain way in something that is kind of irrational to the human psyche. It's letting out something that is already inside of them, you know, because they don't process that energy properly. Okay? And so then they speak loud and they get anger, and it's like
Yeah, I unfortunately
nothing good happens out of that, okay?
never.
And okay, we all go through these things, We have to understand and acknowledge what happens when that happens. Otherwise, we can't conquer it to begin with.
I have this saying that when I'm mad, I'm wrong. Even if I'm right about what I'm upset about, if I'm mad, I'm wrong, because why in the world would I ever want to be mad?
Well, the thing is we're always blaming something else for our anger, and everything is happening inside of us. Has nothing to do with what's going on outside of us. Okay?
I'm never mad at the table or whatever my hoodie's caught on or whatever, It's,
When you usually are too attached to a situation, whether it's be a relationship or a job or this, that, and whatever is causing you to be unhappy about it or dissatisfied or frustrated, okay, from it, okay, and you are not circulating that energy properly, then it builds up, and it builds up momentum, and then you explode, and then there's anger, okay? That's part of it. That's just part of it. But the funny part about it is that you got yourself into whatever situation that is, okay? It was your choice. You made that decision, okay? So you can handle anything because you dug that hole. So being that it's your hole that you dug, then certainly you can dig yourself out, So you have to have that consciousness, okay, to where that you're taking complete responsibility for yourself and for things around you, okay, as well. That whole world, that's your individual responsibility. So when you start taking more responsibility for something, then you're going to have a little less anger, okay? Because you're going to be understanding that you're creating that particular situation. And whatever it is, you have to be able to process it and figure it out, conquer it, move past it, around it, through it, underneath it, some way to where you are able to move forward in life, okay? If you get stuck in these emotional patterns because it's a habit, one day you feel great, tomorrow you're depressed, next day you're frustrated. This is a lot of people's world. Okay?
I fall
It's
victim to that
unfortunate.
world every day.
And yoga, the understanding of yoga, develops you to teach you how to deal with all these things from the inside out, not from the outside in. Because from the inside out, we have that special presence that is greater than you.
That is connected to
the
everything,
world.
too, so it kind of understands everything you don't.
Look, he that is greater than you, okay, is inside of you. That's greater than you that are in the world. You see? That's what is inside of you is that greatness, all the knowledge, everything like that. It's hard to fathom unless you start to look into that world, as far as that goes. And then you have more of a, be able to have more of a balance, okay, an even keel of life. People that don't get too high or too low, those are the people that kind of move with a fluid, smooth thing through life where nothing really bothers them that much, right?
I agree. Yeah.
So if you get to that point, you're able to hold your peace together a little bit, right? So what happens then? You have a little bit more joy out of life, right? You're able to contribute, perform, help people at a greater...
See, the thought of that just makes me want to just go work a 9-to-5 every day and not continue to pursue these.
No, you have to
intense
challenge
dreams I
yourself.
have.
No, you challenge yourself. Why? I mean, you want to be able to, because that if that's the case, then you'll never have that true ability, that skill that needs to be awakened and developed in you to be able to transfer that in any situation in life, because life is an expanding thing. Health is expanding. Your relationships have to be expanding. Personal growth. That's what it's all about. See, that's what transformation means for an individual. It's personal growth. And that's what, again, I'm leading into this, okay, to kind of get to the crux of what an actual yoga pilgrimage is all about. Okay. So what kind of expectations would anybody have from this
None should be the answer.
Exactly. There are no expectations, only to the fact that we know we're going on an adventure. And it is incredible. It's going to take you from the core of your soul. Okay? It may twist you. It may wring you. It may shake you like a salt and pepper shaker, upside down. And at the end of that ride, you're going to come back and you're going to have a different perception of yourself and life. And that consciousness is going to stay with you. See, this is not something what we go on a roller coaster ride, okay, at Coney Island, okay, and we're done with it. Wow, man, that's amazing. You know, it's had a great experience, okay, and you feel that rush for a couple hours, okay, of having that experience, okay. This is something more sustainable, okay, because the experiences in this adventure are beyond the mind, beyond the understanding of some of the mind, okay, things that you didn't think are possible or happening right before your eyes, okay? So that's another story, okay? That's another part of my adventure, you know, and that's part of a pilgrimage with a great yogic master. So and what is a great yogic master, which is what you're going to ask?
I was actually going to ask what inspired your pilgrimage.
That.
The yoga master to be, now, did you want to be a yoga master yourself, or did you just...
No. I just... You know, in fact, I didn't want to go.
Really?
Right.
So what made you go? Was it that greater power that just said?
Well, I'll tell you the experience.
What made you go get that ticket? You know what
I'm
saying?
going to tell you. I'm going to tell you this experience that I had, this first experience, that actually initiated everything. Okay. So I hadn't seen my my best friend in about 10 years, and he shows up at my doorstep, and he says that his guru is going to be in town, that he's living on this ashram, which is a spiritual community in California, and his guru, by the way, the definition of guru is removal of ignorance. Removal of darkness, okay? That's the actual literal definition of guru, okay? And he was giving a talk in a cardiologist's house over in Long Island. And he said, why don't you check it out? I said, okay, you know? And I was extremely happy to see him, you know, and so on and so forth. So we kind of, caught up a little bit, and then he left, and I went to this house, and I walked in, and I went to the back of the room, and he looks up, and he smiles, and he tells me, to come nearer, and he looks at me and he says, hey, you remind me of Hari Charan. Okay, so Hari Charan was my best friend at the time, okay? And so I was listening, I said, thank you, and I went back over there, and he wants me to come closer. Okay, I was feeling a little shy, and but I got closer, and I listened to his satsang, which is a spiritual lecture. And certain things intrigued me, certain things, a lot of things I didn't understand. And I was about to walk out, and he hands me an apple, said, thanks for coming. And that was the end of it, okay? So a few weeks later, I decided that I want to learn meditation. And I wanted to learn the best form of meditation. I wanted to learn the highest mantra. I wanted to learn a lot about it. Okay, I felt like I needed to have that internal quietness that I was feeling like I was missing. So I called up and I spoke to Sankhya Shavadas, which was his name. And he said, come anytime, and I'll initiate you into this yoga. just give us a call, let us know you're coming, and we'll prepare an initiation for you. I said, great. Okay. So a few weeks go by. I decided this is what I want to do. I want to learn more about this, you know. So I call up. My friend picks me up at the airport. I stay for the weekend. I get this special initiation, which I was not unaware that it was a special initiation. And I left. And that was it. So about a month and a half, 2 months later, I get a call from my friend at 3 o'clock in the morning. I have to be up early for work and everything like that. And Hari says, Guruji wants to talk to you. I said, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, okay. All right. So he says to me, and he talks to me through my Sanskrit name.
Okay.
He says, Brahmadeva, I reserved a seat for you on Singapore Airlines to go to India in July. I said, I can't afford to go to India. You know, I have this practice. It's a $10,000 a month overhead. You know, I have over 150 people a week I'm seeing. You know, I have 4 people that work for me. I have the staff. You know, I can't leave it for over a month to go. He says, don't worry, everything work out. You're going to have the money. He says to me like this. He says, you're going. Okay, thank you. Have a good night. Okay, that was the end of that conversation, all right? All right, so I'm shaking my head. I go back to sleep, okay? Wasn't easy to sleep after that, I got to tell you, okay? All right, so then I wake up, okay, and, you know, didn't think anything of it, okay? A couple of days go by. And I don't know why, but I started to tell my staff that I think I'm going to India in July. And they're going, sure. Okay, you know, right? You know, and I tell my family, and my family goes, that would be the worst thing you could ever do in your life. Okay? I had no support. None. Zero. Okay? In fact, if I did that, not only didn't I have support, but it's going to make other people angry at me. Okay? Because they see what I have and what I'm supposed to be doing, and they feel like I'm not taking care of responsibility in my life. It's very interesting. You know?
It is. It's funny because that was something you did
Right.
truly for yourself out of.
Right. And for me, to follow my heart was always the most important thing in my life. And I never got support for that my whole life. When I was teaching martial arts, karate, you know, and all forms and things like that. And people would say, well, what are you doing that for? You're not making any money, you know, and, you know, that's all that was on their minds, you know? I never related well with those kind of people, you know? So I learned not to listen to them very much, you know, and I just kept my focus. So let me please let me finish. Yes. Because this is like a very incredible
No, I'm loving
story.
It, please.
So I said, okay, but you know what? When I transform, I'm going to be better at the healing art, and my patients are going to benefit, okay, from me being a better person, you know, and in so many ways, on so many levels. So a couple of months go by, and I started telling some of my patients that I'm going to India, you know. Some of them thought, okay, all right, doc, you know, we'll see you then. Have a good trip, you know. And I said, okay. So months go by. I still don't have the money. I was in a brand new office at the time, you know, and my practice was doing well, but there was a lot of money to go and to support the overhead while I'm going. That was the thing, okay? So we're probably talking about $15,000 to $20,000 at that particular time. So the trip to India was actually $2,900 for the month. And then there's a trip to California, okay? And then I had to support the overhead and pay people and pay the bills while I was away, which
Yeah.
my staff helped me with that, okay? And it was over 30 days, okay? So we're getting closer, and I had another conversation with Guruji, and I said, "There's no way I can do this. I'm not gonna have the money to take the time off. Really, is the biggest problem with this whole thing, And my practice is not gonna support this, and then the whole thing, all my anxieties start to happen here." And he says, "Don't worry. Everything is going to happen at the time it's supposed to happen, and you're going to see. You're going to go. And you don't have to pay me right away. You can pay me later." Okay? I said, "Okay." All right. I don't really have much of a conversation,
Yeah,
when he's telling me this. Okay, so apparently this whoever this person is, because here's the deal: I just met him, okay, and I'm thinking he doesn't know me, okay, but apparently my friend has another idea because he's been in this ashram for years, and apparently he says that he knows you, okay, all right, and I'm thinking, well, how is that possible, right? So a couple of weeks before the trip was actually supposed to leave, we were supposed to leave from California to go to India, stop in Singapore for a couple of days, stop in Hong Kong, and continue on to India. I still don't have anything ready. Nothing's happening here, okay? Yeah, I'm
And
supposed
this
to
is
be
just
going
a
away
few
for
weeks?
Huh?
This is a few weeks prior to the
2
trip?
weeks.
Okay.
1 week. Nothing. Okay? I'm like, all right. And, I already told my patients, and they're
It's-
going,
yeah.
"So, Doc, what's going on? When you leaving?" That kind of thing. Soon. So, the day before, people were leaving from San Francisco airport to go to India. I get a call from my attorney. He says, "Dr. Schiffman, your case has been resolved. I was in a car accident several years ago before this." Okay? I said, "Really? That's great." He says, "Yeah, we won the case, and you won $5,000. I said, "Wow." I said, "So how much of that is mine?" What do you think he said?
I'm going to assume just craziness because, wow, the story is $5,000. Oh, $2,900?
Exactly. Exactly.
To
the penny. To the penny.
the
right?
universe provides. It's one of my number one
To
sayings.
the penny. I mean, I don't believe in coincidences in life. Okay, so
Yeah, finish, please.
he also said that we don't give cash out because if I get the check, I need time for it to clear. He got the cash from me.
Wow.
He says, "Come over this afternoon. I'll give you your $2,900 in cash." Okay. All right. So I booked a flight to California. I'm in San Francisco the next day, and everyone is sitting. Okay, tens of people around the guru. Okay, in the middle of San Francisco airport. Okay, and I have this envelope with the money, and he looks at me, and it's a big smile. Okay, right, just like that. And it says, I gave him the money, the envelope, and it was like, okay, history ever since. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Is that an interesting
That's
story?
magical.
Okay.
It's magical.
Right. To me, that was incredible inspiration. If nothing else happened on this trip,
Just
would have
that
been
alone.
that would have been enough. Okay.
I find myself in similar situations with projects. I'll be like, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford to do this, and do this. And then I know if when the universe needs me to do that, it's what it needs me to do. And that's what ends up happening.
Well, it brings back to the point of how much control do we really have in our lives. Okay. When things are supposed to happen the way they should happen.
So I got a question.
All the time
Do you
anyway.
think existence is predetermined?
Well, That's a great question, and I'm going to have to answer it not as directly as we would hope.
That's understandable. It's such
know?
a out there question. You can't really answer it to.
You know, there's a plan, okay, for each person on the planet. Okay, your actual karma, okay, what you do today, has some predetermination of what happens tomorrow, and 10 years from now, and so on and so forth, because it is cause and effect, and that's what karma actually is. Okay, action reaction. Okay. It's a mathematical equation, okay? You can actually predict certain things that could happen from an action that you've taken, okay? Right? So your journey is different than someone else's journey, like different branches of the same tree, okay? So can you change your karma? And that predetermination, I think, is what you're trying to say a little bit, right?
I agree with you.
And you can, okay? You can, okay? But in order to do that, okay, you have to be in the flow, okay, of that intelligent force that threads the needle for everything on the planet, all beings, all life, all creation. You have to connect to that in order to be able to do that. So in other words, to try to simplify and not sound like a complication, from our audience, is that once you are in the flow, then you become beyond the karmic events that happen. Cause and effect, the black and whites, okay? Birth and death, okay? Birth and death, you can transcend past that, okay? I can only speak to that in the sense of being with these incredible beings that have revealed to me that kind of an answer, okay? Because it takes one to know one, and I'm not one. You see, I am not one. Not yet. And who knows if that will ever happen. It's not something that's in my mind. There are no goals there. I just practice the spiritual disciplines, and I just try to integrate things in my life and have that balance of mind, body, and spirit. And if it looks to someone else as it looks to me, and they gain some positive influence from my knowledge, my answers, some of my experience that may help these people along in their life, then that's a good thing, okay? Then I'm making a really positive difference, and that's fine, okay?
100%.
That's fine. I don't think about it at all, because when you're practicing anything, if you're meditating, if you're doing yoga, or if you're doing any of the Eastern arts, okay, if you're a doctor or if you're a custodian or whatever, okay, there's nothing that's above anything else in life.
I feel like a lot of the times I struggle to be the best, and it's easier just to thrive to be better.
Which is good. I think that's an attitude that is innately happening. Okay, and when we're not doing that, I think there's some sort of suppression, some kind of blockage that prevents us from expanding, because we have so much more potential to transform, in a positive way. I don't like the word better a lot, because I think that right now you are great. Okay, you may not realize that. Okay, so part of the process is realizing how great you really are. Okay. You see, and that's important. Okay, realization can only come from direct experience, and then you have a heightened sense of awareness, and you become sensitive to people around you. There's a difference of being sensitive, where that's touchy, right? Don't talk to that person because they're a little sensitive. No, that's not that, right? Being sensitive to other people and their surroundings and your environment allows you to have a better perspective and better perception on what actually is really happening at that particular moment, right?
100%.
Right?
Yeah, I get it.
That's where it is. And how does that help at all? Well, it helps you relate, helps you connect, right? Helps have a better day.
Helps you not be so selfish, in a sense.
And that selfishness, I said, was one of the enemies of man, right? Right? Now, there's a difference there when we talk of being selfish.
I think you need to be selfish though sometimes for yourself.
I think there's
Well, that's what I was gonna speak to. Okay, so you know the kind of selfishness that's the enemy, right?
Yes.
Okay, then that's not the selfishness that we have when we need to nurture ourselves.
Yes,
okay?
you need your own time.
Right.
Too. You
Right.
can't just depend on.
Right.
You need to be happy before somebody else can make you happy.
And
that's
that's-
something that I've always.
Right, and that's what the yogic experience and that journey and the pilgrimage was all about. See, as we continue with the conversation, we understand the meaning of the whole thing. You see?
It's like what we were talking about prior. You don't know until you actually do it. You know, you got to experience it to learn it.
Right. I use the analogy of driving a car. Okay? You know, you could be the passenger and watch someone drive and you can understand how he does it. But until you drive it, not only do you understand, but you actually realize. Okay? Okay, that's a different understanding.
I do it every day with just like, my mom is my great example, how she moved as a person, and every day as I get older and, my dietary issues and stuff, I realized like, oh, she was going through this. My mom sleeps sitting up always.
Oh, interesting.
It's because she constantly drinks Pepsi, has terrible acid reflux just like I do, and refuses to lay horizontally because that helps cause the acid reflux.
Amazing. Can I switch for a second?
Yes, sorry.
Okay? I want to switch for a second and just because it's been on my mind for a few days. I've been meeting a lot of people that are too infatuated with age in this particular society. Okay? Unfortunately, in the United States itself, people are infatuated with numbers. Okay? To me, it's an infatuation.
Statistics.
Okay? Whereas when you're 5 years old, this is what develops. And when you're 10, and when you're 15, when you're 20 years old, when you're 30, okay, you should have this or this. And when you're 40, 50, and, at 60, look at the end of life, okay? Which is so far from the truth, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Okay, they are out of touch. Okay, completely out of touch with reality when people concentrate on old age.
I met a 70-year-old man over the weekend who was one of the hardest working man I've ever worked.
Yes, it's a numerical thing, and when I say it's just a number, it is. Does it come into play a little bit? Yes, it does. Okay, because as we age, we have to take more responsibility. If we want to maintain function, then we have to give a little bit more maintenance to certain things. And everybody's blessed with different gifts.
Yep.
Some people are blessed with great metabolism. Other people aren't, and so on and so forth, okay? But these are gifts. These are blessings, okay? What does age have to do with it altogether, okay? It's a cultural thing. If you notice all around the world, people have different perceptions of what age actually is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
With Cinco de Mayo, or not Cinco de Mayo, with like quinceañeras and things like that. We celebrate Sweet 16s. In Hispanic cultures or Mexican cultures, they celebrate the 15th year, or with like Judaism. I'm not sure exactly when you go through the bat mitzvah.
Well, it's very interesting. In arranged marriages, you could have a 13-year-old that's married.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? In India and in Israel as well. Okay. And some of that tradition is still being practiced today in other countries. Because they are marrying. The arranged marriages have a lot to do with the family. Mm-hmm. Okay. Where you're marrying not only the person but the family themselves.
The blood.
Because that is incredible support system throughout their life. And for the most part, arranged marriages work better than free will marriages. Okay? You know, because it's based on...
Systematically, I don't know if there's the love that's...
Well, it's based on devotion. Okay? Okay, these qualities are inbred in the Eastern philosophy more than it is obviously if you look at the United States.
Of course, yeah.
You know, which I don't feel like there's much of a culture here at all. If anything, I don't see a
melting pot.
culture. Because if it's a melting pot, then it's a mixture of cultures. Okay? Which is why you have so many diverse understanding and ideas going on. You know, that's different than what people think that...
Yeah, I was always curious if you could go to Paris and get Chinese food.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, I don't know.
Like-
I don't know.
I'm going to go with probably for the fact of the matter that I don't know. It's very hard for me to say that one, but I imagine that Chinese food would kind of, because we have European food here.
Well, if you're talking about a city with a series of, you know, different type of people that migrate to these particular cities, okay? They have different cultures and things like that. But Paris, London, New York, Los Angeles, any large metropolitan city thrives on tourism.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to thrive on tourism, you have to cater somewhat to them, right?
True.
Okay? So tourists, okay, are going to be an eclectic type of people with all kinds of races and religions and things like that are going to come in, and they want to feel comfortable, okay? So you're going to have certain things like that, you know, that will cater to that.
Just a random thought I've always had,
You know?
just because I know, like I said, we're the melting pot, and we have so many, you know, there's 15 different Chinese restaurants, a Thai restaurant, all different types, just right here in Syracuse.
Right.
I'm curious if other, you know, cities...
But getting back to the age
sorry, we're, tangent.
discussion, right?
Yeah.
You know, the age discussion. Like I had a patient the other day, and her name was Mary. And Mary comes in, and she says to me, "Doc, my knee is giving me all kinds of problems." I said, "So what do you think the problem is?" "Old age." How many times have I heard that, right? I said, "Really? Old age? Mary, how old are you?" "I'm 84 years old." "Okay. And which knee is it?" Said, "It's my right knee." "Okay. Is your left knee bothering you?" Says, "No." "How old is your left knee?" See what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but people do that all the time. People do that all the time, okay? And, you know, whatever it is, whatever's going on like that, you know, when there's no answer, it's got to be the age. Got to be old age, you know, that kind of thing, you know. Two people to come together that have age differences, can you be friends?
Of course.
Of course you can. Why is that? Why can you be friends? Because you don't, the age has nothing to do with a relationship to begin with, okay? Now, if you're in a relationship with someone who is much younger than you or much older than you, and you're thinking about that, then it's probably the wrong thing to be in that relationship to begin with.
Yeah. It's a good way. My buddy Ricky actually has a saying where if you have to think about if it's right or not, it's probably not.
It's probably, exactly.
It's probably not.
Exactly.
And I'm glad you touched on that because I know that's a big, you know, especially with today's age, every politician is inappropriate with young or whatever. So it's
What do you think people are? Okay, it brings to speak to what is maturity. When is a person fully mature to be able to engage in life and relationships without someone looking at them and saying, "Hey, you know what? You can't do this because you're too young, or you're too old and you can't do that either." Okay? Right? What is maturity? You know what? People don't mature necessarily right away.
Everyone matures at a different time.
Exactly. There isn't a number based on that. I know people in their 50s and their 70s that have not matured.
I know. I mean, even my grandma has immature facts, you know, things about her that are just, I think are outdated. The best way to.
There are people in their 20s and 30s that I can bring in here that are incredibly mature, beyond their age. When you think about if you want to tie that in. But there aren't that many, okay? There aren't that many. For me, from my own personal experience with relationships and people, because I've met a lot of people practicing the healing arts for over 40 years, and this and that and everything else, I haven't met many mature people altogether in this life. Okay? All right?
I can imagine
Okay,
that.
so there it is on that level. Okay? So to me, age needs to be out of the equation. Okay? Okay? If other things aren't right, then other things aren't right. Okay? For whatever reason, if there's not anything in common, or if someone thinks a certain way and there can't be a certain alignment going on, okay, then maybe it's not a good thing. If you don't have same values, same goals, same social goals, family backgrounds, But what is the character? Okay? What is the character? Really boils down to that. The character you bring with you. You bring your love with you when you turn the page and pass on from this planet. Okay? You bring your love with you. You bring your anger with you.
Okay, that was my next question.
You bring everything going on in your heart with you, but you don't bring your possessions with you. Okay? You don't bring any of that. Although people try.
Yeah, we've discussed it before.
Well, the Egyptians are known for that. Okay? And the funny part about that is that because of that provoked people to rob the graves. And they call them tomb raiders. Okay? So not only did they try to bring it with them, but they got their belongings stolen right next to them in their tombs. How ironic was that?
Now, I wonder if that's the grave robbers are their current selves trying to get their things back. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Like a reincarnate. I'm just coming up with a wacky theory anyways.
I believe we get reincarnated into an animal. That's
You-
truly
you know-
like
you
a
know,
butterfly.
I believe we get reincarnated in everything.
Well, I can't. This is a hard thing to speak to because reincarnation, okay, is about being reborn constantly and coming back to Earth, okay, in one form or another, preferably a human being, okay, that kind of thing. There are people that believe in reincarnation, and there are people that don't believe in reincarnation, okay? My personal beliefs on that subject, okay, we'll have to wait for another interview, on that, okay? But the whole understanding of it is really, it's a very in-depth type of an understanding and discussion on that. It really should be a complete, to give it the right, respect to talk about things like that, because it just boils down to a lot of things that I really don't want to speak to, in a sense, because those that believe don't need any explanation, and those that don't, no explanation is possible. Okay?
You just said that so perfectly.
So it's kind of like that with so many realms of understanding of religion, and I don't want to upset or even
No, you said that so
anything
amazingly.
because our audience, I don't want to speak to that where somebody might be, feeling a little off about a certain type of discussion.
I think a good portion of my audience is on that uncertainty train with me. We believe, but we just don't know what to believe. We've been force-fed so many different, I feel like in America, it's like Catholic or, Christianity is the main base in our country, kind of. So,
well, again,
at least from my perspective,
right? Again, it brings to religion. Unfortunately, from my own personal experience, I find that religions are building walls, not bridges, and that
Great way to say it.
That
Wow.
to me is a little disturbing at times. But that's okay. That's okay. Okay, because that's whatever anybody else does with their ideology or understanding or what they want to, discuss or their belief system or anything like that.
Shouldn't matter to
I
you.
I have my life.
On the other podcast I produced, we interviewed a woman who was born Catholic and converted to Muslim. Or I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I feel rude sometimes, like I'm not wording the words correctly, but I believe that she converted to Muslim, and it was very interesting hearing her perspective on what made her go from one to the other. And I don't think I could ever choose personally one religion. I don't know why. I just never.
For me,
Like you said, it's they feel more like walls than bridges.
For me to answer, where I'm at is I'm universal.
I like that.
I'm universal.
I like that.
I believe in following your heart and find out where that takes you. Okay, and you have to form your own belief in this world. You have to understand whatever it is. If you believe in God, or you want to call it God, the great is, or I think I talked about this before. Whatever words you want to say, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like I said,
Okay.
it speaks all languages, and it.
But there's something I am sure of. There's something that is greater than ourselves. Okay, that governs.
I agree.
And I think that belief is important. Okay.
I agree.
To go through life with, But what other questions, James, do you have for me? You spent a lot of time
It's
in
coming
thinking.
up on like 53 minutes.
53. Okay, that's actually perfect because I have my and you're gonna be the first guest I ever asked this question. Is define your heaven. What would your heaven be?
So my heaven would be just a perfect world full of love. Okay? Where everyone is not considering everyone so different from everyone else and things like that. My heaven would be complete unity. And that is actually where the truth is. Because the separateness, the differences that we see in each other, okay, color, race, language, culture, this and that, we're all connect with this. We're all connect with this because we're all children of God, okay? And so, when we look up to heaven, there is only unity. And the illusion is the separateness and the disunity, which creates dysfunction and problems and difficult times. That's the only way I can express that. My personal heaven is not. I can't even describe it. Okay. But eternal joy is something that cannot even be expressed into words because it actually brings it down. Okay.
It does.
Okay. So if you've had any experience of incredible joy in life inside of you,
So
okay?
an infinite feeling of
it's
that.
indescribable.
I felt it a few times today. Just you say the word enlightenment, and then I don't really register it until
Enlightenment.
You feel that
Enlightenment is about lightening up.
Yeah, until you
Okay.
feel that light inside, and I experienced it a few times just in this conversation. So
Yeah.
this was beautiful, and I'm
See? As you start to lighten up, at some point you end up lit. You see? When you are light up, and that is an illumined type of consciousness.
I'm always the light in the room.
Well,
John lights up a room.
Well, I think most of us can actually, if you close your eyes, okay, and take some deep breaths, okay, and go inside yourself and just swim in that ocean, okay, you can see the differences, okay, at times when you're so heavy and when you're light, okay, and when, you glow, okay. And so I think everybody can have that experience of enlightenment while they're on this planet,
Or there's people that just try to enlighten people and they don't like me. I'll be one to sit here and tell you about. I rather have everybody in the room happy than me. So I come into a room, I rather have everybody laugh. I rather have, yes, I laugh at myself. Yes, I do this. But the thing is like, I like just being the reason why people have a good time.
Well, if you feel that way, that those people are why, okay, that are having a good time because of you, then you have to feel good, okay? Because if that's what you want to happen, then you are coming from that source and you have to feel good. And they can't feel good unless you feel good, okay? So there's a connection there, okay? There's a connection there.
I don't think we've ever even seen really upset John. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've ever seen an upset John.
Because you will never see an upset John. Because there's certain things that truly the only person that will ever see an upset John is my wife. Because you don't need to see truly what happens. Like, I don't want to have, aka, I get mad at somebody. I don't want to me flip out on something because of anger, aka, we'll go back to the anger thing. I don't want you to see that because then your perspective on me can 100% change. I want you to have your perspective on me because of who I am. I don't want to, because a lot of people judge you for an action that you do.
Right. So that, in other words, what John is saying is that he's not acting as his true self when he gets upset. And none of us are, you see? Right? Am I correct?
Yes, because then I don't want people to see my true.
You want people to see your true self, but not through that mirror, that lens, because that's not your true self.
No, it's an anger. It's the self that took 10 seconds.
That's what John's expressing.
No, 100%. I understand that. And I had the same thing. Mariah gets the worst of me, unfortunately. She gets but she also gets the best of me. But she also gets when I'm down, there's only one person who's there, and that's my significant other.
So we're talking about relationships, the ebb and flow, right? The up and down, that kind of thing. And then it goes back to the point where you and I had this discussion before, right? If you want to change the world, what do we do?
Change yourself.
We have to change ourselves, right? Well, your world at that time is between you and someone else. How do we connect? Okay? It's always something going on inside of us.
And how do we connect? By being more sensitive to what they're experiencing, to what they're feeling from what you're doing.
Right. And if two people are doing that at the same time, it's a heck of a better chance for them to connect than
one of the reasons me and Mariah get along so well is that every time we're in a weird where our frequencies aren't aligned, we realize it, we know we're not aligned, and we kind of grasp it until we are aligned. And then once we are aligned again, then we really address this situation and realize that there really wasn't even a situation. We just weren't really connected.
What would be the definition and the core of yoga? Okay? To conquer the weaknesses that prevent us and make it more difficult for us to connect. You see? With everything around. Right? Right? The arrogance, the greed, lust, or anger that you call it. Okay? The selfishness, the jealousy. Right? So the jealousy springs from people because of their own insecurity. Right? They're not comfortable in their own skin. They have no self-confidence in what they do and who they are. So they feel like someone else may be taking away something that they, perceive as theirs, which is completely false. Nothing is theirs. Nothing is ours. We own nothing. Right? If we're in a relationship, in order for it to be free, we have to be able to just love and have the ability to receive that love and have complete trust, because we can't control anything else outside of what's going on inside of us. Correct?
And it's like a kind of a tangent, but it's I have a kind of like a perspective on adultery a little bit, to where it's it's rare that a significant other would have some passion to hurt you.
Well,
do you know what I'm saying?
A lot of this is done unconsciously because they can't handle their own They had no self-control with their own passions, with their own
That
their
too,
own
but
mind, okay, everything like that. Again, okay, they're some people will have a dark side. Okay, they do it to hurt other people, whatever. Okay, I'm not going to speak to that. Okay, but basically, when certain things happen, there's a different understanding of how they feel their relationship is. Okay, so for that, maybe there's a communication situation going on, or the understanding is not there, and the integrity is messed up. That there isn't integrity where there should have been. Who knows? Okay.
So the
There's a
example I
gazillion
use
things.
is I have a buddy who, he seemed to really like his girlfriend at the time, but he was always, we would go out together and he would always just be picking up women left and right, left and right, left and right. I always watched him do it and wondered, like, he would get upset when the other female would figure out. And I never understood why that would bother him. Or I got to figure this out a little bit more before I touch on it, actually. So
Okay.
I apologize for.
No, it's okay.
I don't even know why my mind went to that.
Obviously our conversation is springing a lot of interest in a lot of different ways. It's flying all over the place. So we want to get back to focus.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we got.
Right. Is there anything else you want to ask me?
I think we've really touched on the pilgrimage and what that was, and I think we got a phenomenal episode.
I hope I expressed it to somewhat, where you can understand a little bit of my experience.
Like I said, I experienced incredible enlightenment from this conversation, which most of our conversations I do.
That's very kind.
And it's one of the reasons I recommend anybody to come to you outside of your chiropractic care. The spiritual care I get here is amazing too.
Well, that's very nice. That's very nice of you to think so. I appreciate that.
And to you might not be, a yoga master or a guru at them, but you're the closest thing I have to a guru.
I have no aspirations for that, but thanks anyway. If I could help a little bit, that's what I'm here for.
And that's what I'm also here for, to continue and pass that knowledge.
All right, thanks, Jen.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you. Great to see you, John.